Good evening, and welcome to another installment of Stories from the Internet, where I bring you the creepiest real-life stories from all over. For a continual supply of creepiness, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you never miss a future episode. Sit back, hit the lights, and let's begin. Often being confused for ghosts, shadow creatures are a form of cryptid that are witnessed across the globe. They seem mostly harmless. Tonight, we'll take a look at 3 examples of people's interactions with these shadowy figures. Anyways, for a long time I've had this weird connection with cats for some strange reason, and I'm not sure why or what to make of it. When I lived with my parents, stray cats used to gather under my window, and I would hear them getting busy or fighting. The main cats I saw were a white and black one. This was many years ago, but I remember wondering why they were always there. One night, I heard them sounding like they were getting into a huge fight or something, and I put the pillow over my head. The next morning, my mum told me to take out the trash and pull it towards the end of the road. When I did, I saw that the black cat was dead, like it had been run over. Other instances include me getting into an argument with a roommate when I moved with one of 4. It was a crazy argument that sent me running out of the apartment to the centre of the complex, crying in the middle of the night, wondering what I got myself into living with these people. As I sobbed, I heard a purring, and out from one of the dark corners, this black cat comes out, walks up to me and starts rubbing against my legs and purring. I pick it up and kinda hug it, and then I felt better. I felt much happier and not so depressed. I told that cat, thanks for showing the love. And then I put down and went away, and I never saw it again. Some years later, I was without a job and at my home, and I got down and started praying in the night, asking to be heard because I needed to find work and make more money. After, I get up and walked around for a bit, and I decided to look outside for some reason, and I saw a white cat walk into my neighbour's driveway and then sit and started looking at my home. I thought this cat was maybe stalking something like a mouse or whatever, so I closed the blinds and went and messed around with my phone. About 15 to 20 minutes later, I get up and look out, and the cat is still there, staring. I opened my front door and walked out, and it didn't budge. It just looked at me and didn't move. I got spooked and went back into the house and got under the covers. The next day it was gone, and I went for a walk, and on the way I found a $20 bill. I was excited and assumed my prayer had worked. Then I stupidly thought I could ask for even more money, but never came. Anyways, throughout the years I've run into cats. One early morning before sunrise, I went for a jog. As I was crossing over the railroad tracks, I glanced out of the corner of my eye, and there's this cat watching me. It was just sitting there, staring at me as I walked off. Another time before sunrise, I was on my bike, and I was riding instead of walking, and a black cat scattered across the road in front of my bike, and I was like, crazy cat. A few moments later, the bag I had with a bottle of water from my handlebars somehow managed to get caught in the front tyres of my bike, and I almost went head first off, but turned to where I just fell onto my side. I looked up, and the water bottle is lodged between the tyre and bars. It was the worst, and even though I hurt my leg a little, at least I didn't die. Please don't scold me for not wearing a helmet. I live in a new area of town, and I've seen a few cats here and there at the apartment complex. One of them I named Dash because they appeared out of nowhere and will cross my path out of sight under someone's car. I haven't seen them since though, and that was months ago. I haven't had any sightings since, but I've been being a homebody and whatnot, not going out during the night or anything, and I live in a gated apartment on the 2nd floor. The reason I shared this here was because I brought it up in one of the Unknown Encounter group on Reddit, but I mentioned more about the shadow figures or owl or two hooting by my window. I saw the shadow figures a few times as a child. Anyways, one person thought my story was fake because I mentioned my experiences as a child inspired me to write. Another person did believe me, so at least someone else didn't think I'm crazy and just wanted to share exactly what happened and why I'm kinda quiet about it in public. Folks will probably think I'm insane. It didn't dawn on me to ask you, since most of the occult redditors are probably experts in what may have been going on. Do you think the cats were just me over-exaggerating? Were they guardians or something else? Do you think I will possibly start to experience it again in my life? Could the cat symbolize something? Has anyone ever experienced any of this before? If it is something, what steps do I take next, or is it gone for good? Sorry if I posted too much. I'm up at 4:30 in the middle of the night, feeling empty, in thought. I'm thinking about posting this on occult too. Maybe someone can also help me there. Now you're probably wondering why I picked this story about cats for a shadow being video. Well, in case you didn't notice, our poster mentioned that they encountered shadow beings as a child. And a few of these encounters with the cats were very fast and they didn't repeat. This made me think that maybe it was the shadow creatures and not cats. The fighting cats I get, but the later ones are truly a mystery. What do you guys think it could be? I've been reading a lot lately about people having creepy experiences with shadow figures. I don't know why, has it been an influx or something? And every time I do, I think of the experience I had with one when I was 13. So 8 years ago now. So back then, I had just gotten a loft bed. The black wooden one from IKEA to be specific. Every night when I'd go to sleep, I'd keep the TV on, which sat on my dresser across from the bed, because the noise would lull me to sleep. Well, that night, the noise and the light was keeping me up, thanks radiation. So I decided to turn it off. When I did, my bedroom was pitch black. My door was closed, I didn't have any night lights, and no other devices were on. I rolled over onto my side, facing toward the wall, and closed my eyes. A few minutes went by, and I was still wide awake. I was beginning to get frustrated because I still couldn't fall asleep. Just as I was thinking about this, I got the feeling that I wasn't alone anymore. You know how you can just tell when someone's walked into the room, almost like the energy or density changes? Well, I had an older sister who had a habit of creeping into my room late at night to steal my stuff. So I thought, okay, it's just Hannah getting something. But when I opened my eyes, my room was still dark. This told me it wasn't her, because whenever she'd come in, she'd leave the door open a crack and the hallway light would shine through. Plus, she's loud as hell. Although she tried her best to be quiet so as to not wake me up. But my room was absolutely silent. As soon as this realization dawned on me, an overwhelming sense of dread came over me. I knew someone was in the room with me, just as I know my own name. But since the human mind needs tangible proof of everything, I decided to check just in case I was imagining it. If you know anything about loft beds, you know those things are loud as hell when you move, since you're basically propped up on stilts in the air. So as I moved, I tried to do so as quietly as possible, so that whatever was in the room with me wasn't aware I was there and knew it was there too. When I finally reached the slats and looked down through them, sure enough, there was this black figure in the shape of a person standing in front of my dresser. I straight up knew whatever this thing was, it was evil, because A, malevolence practically oozed from it and spread over my bedroom, and B, this thing was literally blacker than the darkness of my bedroom. Like, imagine being in a pitch black room and then a figure materializes. No tangible features, just a straight up, filled in outline in the shape of a person that is darker than the dark. That's what this thing was. I don't know how, but as soon as I laid my eyes on this thing, I saw it turn its head and look at me. Again, it didn't have any features, so I didn't physically see its eyes looking at me, but it's almost like I could see it, feel it in my mind. It paralyzed me. Then it began moving and walking towards my ladder like it was going to climb up. I shot straight up in terror, knowing that if this thing got to me, something bad was sure to happen, and reached out my arm to turn on my ceiling fan light. Luckily, it was literally less than a foot away from where I was. I yelled out the guardian angel prayer as fast as I could, my mouth stumbling over the words in my haste. As soon as I finished, I felt this overwhelming sense of peace and love come over me, like I've never felt before, as if something was there, protecting me. When that feeling came, all sense of the darkness and negativity just shattered. I was so calm and at peace, almost like I'd taken a Xanax. although I didn't know what that feeling was until years later, insert punchline drum sound, that I flicked the light back off and instantly fell asleep. I haven't seen a shadow person since, but I do feel people, things standing near my bed at night all the time. It'll wake me up, but I'll never see anything. Whenever I feel like I'm not alone, I'll imagine a white light surrounding me and emanating from my body and tell whatever it is in my mind that it's not welcome and must leave. Works every single time without fail. But the experience I had when I was 13 terrified me, and I hope it never happens again. This story really reminded me of an earlier video I did about the haunted church and the follow-up video where our poster was harassed by a shadowy figure. This is an excellent case of the malevolent kind we often hear about. I'd sort of forgotten about this, as the last thing that happened was 10 years ago. I should also warn you that these aren't crazy, over-the-top, spooky experiences like some of the ones I'm reading here. Just some weird occurrences. I can't really explain them, but I felt like sharing. 2 times in my life, I've seen people that weren't there, in 2 different locations, in opposite ends of the world actually. The first might have been one of many. From ages 3 to 7, we lived in a house in the same town I was born. It was our second house in that city, and though I don't remember a lot from that time, I do remember some things that only struck me as unsettling in hindsight. First of all, the house had a weird atmosphere. We had a dirt basement, but no one, not even my dad, ever went in, and we had a yearly colony of ants that would walk straight through the living room in a line during the summer. Random, I know, but that's what I remember. It was located in a small cul-de-sac with only 4 more houses. All of the houses had a small stretch of forest behind them. Directly behind our house was a field of raspberries and nettles stretching along the length of our house. Even though the raspberries were delicious and you might have to suffer some burns in picking them, so the field wasn't really used for anything, and it was just sort of there. Our living room windows were facing this field, and I remember that on several occasions I saw a man with a hat walking past it. He would always be just in the corner of my eye, and then gone when I looked at him. I remember the colour of the man being sort of like static on TV. When I told my mother about it, she would always say it was my peripheral vision developing, and I believed her. I didn't think anything more of it for many years. We moved when I was 7 to the opposite end of the country. Years later, I talked to her about it again. She confirmed that no one felt comfortable in that house, and weird things would be happening. No one was sad to leave. 10 years later, I went on a high school exchange to the other side of the world, South Korea to be exact. I shared a bedroom with my host sister, though she wasn't in the room at the time. I was in bed. The bed was facing a wall with a desk, and the doorway was in the upper left corner from me. I was reading, and I remember looking up after catching something in the corner of my eye. This time, I saw a figure going in through the area of the door and sort of take a turn in the middle of the room and walk through the wall behind the desk. I couldn't tell you any details about age, gender, or anything, really, only that it looked like a massive static. And it didn't disappear when I looked directly at it. This obviously creeped me out, but at the same time I didn't react like I thought I would. I froze while it happened, then tucked the covers around me and waited to see if anything would happen next. Nothing did. Sometime later, don't remember if it was weeks or days, my host sister and I were going to bed, and she tells me, "Oh, I don't want to scare you, but I think I saw a ghost." She told me how she'd been studying in the living room and she'd seen someone walk past our door. I told her I'd seen the same thing, although a different night. If it weren't for the fact we'd both seen something similar at different times, separate of each other, I would have just chalked it up to being tired. But since we both saw it, we rationalised that whatever it was, it probably wasn't mean-spirited, and my exchange year came and went without more incidents like it. If weird things were happening, I was too busy trying to adapt to a new family, home, and culture to notice. So there you are. 2 rather uneventful stories about seeing shadowy, static people just minding their own business. From this story, we can see how shadow people are often confused for ghosts, but also how they can be completely benign and harmless. I hope you enjoyed this foray into the strange world of shadow beings. Let me know what you think about the subject in the comments down below. Thank you all for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this video. You can follow me on most social media and chat with me over at the Opinionated Outcast Discord server. If you really like what I do, consider supporting me on Patreon for as little as $2 a month, where there are rewards, sneak peeks, and other Patreon only exclusives. All links are in the description below. Thank you, and remember, it's always scarier when it's real. Good night.